Hello, speech students. Welcome to the video for week 5, what you can expect, what you need to work on. So the first task this week is writing your storytelling rough draft using the Strong 30 format. We did use this format early in the year, but if you need a review, it's absolutely in these slides. And also, I've posted in Schoology an example of a completed rough draft if you need that. The next task for this week is practicing to improve your storytelling rough draft. This is going to follow the same pattern as we've been using for practice, so you can practice on your own or with another person of your choosing. And then finally, you're going to write the final draft of this storytelling speech in a style of your choosing so that you can more easily use it next week when we perform or film this. Friday is the work day. Just a reminder of the deadline. So this week you need to get in week 1 and week 2 work for points. And I'll preview that here in a moment on Schoology. As per usual, here are your notes. So you'd use these to write your rough draft and to review what do I need to do for this speech since I'm performing it next week. Here I've included a lesson on the Strong 30 format if you need a review. It's not required, but it's here for your use if you need it. Basically, for Strong 30, you have a start that's memorized. Your first 30 seconds, you know exactly what you're going to say. And that first 30 seconds should also get the audience interested or add imagery so that they can really picture what you're talking about. In the middle, your story should be progressing along, enough details to keep it flowing. And then finally, an ending that either sums up what you learned or gives one last idea. You want to make sure you write a clear conclusion so you don't end with an awkward trail off like, so yeah, that's my story. So those are your notes. Let's show you on Schoology some of your resources. So if you're looking to finish your week 1 work, if you missed that, that is finishing up performing your persuasive speech. If you're a student who hasn't even written it, I would suggest don't get overwhelmed by the persuasive speech. What I would suggest you do is write some notes on how you feel about an issue on a note card and then talk about it. That's better than getting a 0. That's what I would do. Week 2, if you're missing that, is where we started social speeches. So that's where you're reading the slides there and taking notes. It's that sort of thing. So that's week 1 and 2. Week 5, the week we're on now, here is where you will find not only the slides to complete this work, but the assignment itself. And like I said, here is an example of my rough draft if you're struggling with that, if you need a little example. All right, let's end here by showing you how this will look on your handout. So all of your work this week is formative. Next week, when you perform the storytelling speech, that is summative. So you get 10 points for writing the rough draft in the Strong 30 template, 5 points for practice prompts, and then 5 points for your final draft. So let's go over this. So task 1 is writing your Strong 30 draft. And as you can see here, it's a template. So you can fill in the blanks to complete yours. Up to you if you start your story with a name and title. Sometimes that's a good way to start if you aren't sure. Like I said, in the middle, clear details, keep your story going. And then finally, ending. This is not like other speeches where you have to tell the audience what to do with the information. You can end, if you wish, with a simple "the end." That works absolutely fine. All right, so for practice, as we've done before, you practice with another, or if you're working on your own, you film your practice. You can watch it and write comments for yourself. So you need 2 PV Legs comments here. And as you can see, I've added some examples of what you could write. So this would be if I worked on my own. Of course, if someone else practiced with me, they would fill out these comments. I put in the time of my storytelling speech. And then finally, I write what's one thing that needs work and one thing that looks good. All right, so here's where you'll put your final draft. Like I said, you can write it in a style of your choice. So it can be short word, it can be script. You can have note cards or Post-its, however this works for you. If you choose note cards or Post-its, please take a picture of it and paste it here. And as you can see, I've included the template again. So if you want to write your final draft using the exact same thing you did for rough draft, that's cool. Just make sure that your final draft and your rough draft are different. You should see changes from the rough draft to the final draft from your practice. That's the whole idea there. So that is your work for this week. One last bit of advice. As someone who has had to catch up before in a class, it works best if you complete your work that's due for that week and then go back and catch up, because that way you aren't falling farther behind. If you need anything, please come ask. They pay me to help you. You got this.